Hello, this is Barry Coombs from definetomorrow.co.uk. I'm here with David Cumberworth, VP of EMEA for
Correct.
Atlantis.
Correct.
We're just going to have a bit of a chat, try and understand who Atlantis are. I know Atlantis quite well, but maybe some people on the other side of the camera don't.
Sure.
So maybe you could kind of just give us an overview, where you've been, where you're going, what makes you different to your competition.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Barry, you know us obviously from the desktop virtualization
Indeed.
world. And we've got a very strong pedigree in that VDI space.
Indeed.
The business has evolved very significantly actually over the last 12 or 18 months, and I'll go into that in a bit more detail. But as you know, and as you've used our technology before, or to address these technology points, we've come from a background of looking at the way that virtual desktops work, and now increasingly how general applications work, and really the organization and the technology was built as a result of trying to think how we can commoditize performance.
Sure.
VDI is a very good use case for that, as you know. If we can take the performance of a VDI desktop and put that into a commoditized platform like an x86 server, then the price point naturally is significantly lower.
And that's our big challenge with VDI.
Absolutely.
Trying to do those desktops lower, but we still want that screaming fast performance.
Absolutely. So if we can, and really what our customer base has enjoyed with our desktop virtualization offering is the commoditization of that process, of that service, of that VDI service, which has driven the cost down to the price point roughly of a traditional PC. Sure. Whereas by using RAM as a performance tier, we can get the performance of a desktop with an SSD in it. Mm-hmm. So we're getting we've been able to deliver a virtual desktop experience at a price point that's very, very aggressive, so on par with a physical PC, yet with the performance of a MacBook Air kind of thing. So that's been our history. Yeah, it's been our history, and as I said, you guys have been out there and taking that technology to market with us for the last few years. Around 18 months ago, we broadened out our portfolio to take that same value proposition, so really commoditizing performance, but applying that to any application workload. Okay. So as a direct result of that, our market got significantly broader. And we started to capture initially some of the core workloads around the desktop virtualization stack. Mm-hmm. So some of the management content, some of the Windows data, some of the user profile data, etc. And really taking that data and putting it into a commodity x86 layer. Okay. So similar proposition to what we've done with VDI, lowering the overall price point, boosting performance by leveraging RAM as a performance tier. As of May this year, we launched a hyper-converged appliance. Indeed. And the concept behind the appliance was very, very straightforward. It was taking our value proposition that we've delivered in software and really building on that value proposition in a form factor that's very straightforward and easy to consume, all flash performance, very, very low cost, etc. Sure. So that's where we find ourselves today. We have this broad offering in terms of the applications that we can address, and a platform that is very easy to consume for our partners and for our end users.
So you've obviously seen, as you mentioned, from the VDI stakes, the performance was the main driver. That was the main problem that we've had in VDI for many years. Sure. But obviously, as the costs of RAM have come down, 32 gig memory modules are now coming down in cost and becoming quite affordable. That's playing quite well into your stakes and your technology.
Absolutely.
RAM is not the problem anymore. We can get as much RAM as we want to in a server. So your technology is able to help us leverage that with our customers.
Yeah, and look, the vision of our CTO, CEO and founder, Chetan Venkatesh, years ago was, look, if we can use Moore's Law as the vehicle to drive performance, then at some point, the price point will be will meet that of a spinning disk kind of platform, and over time, as Moore's Law dictates, become quicker and cheaper. And we find ourselves very much in that space now, where, as you say, 32 gig DIMM is very, very cost effective. So the price of driving these IOs is very, very cheap. So if I was to capture our go to market and what we're taking to market, and I guess why we're different to some of the other players in the software defined space or the hyper-converged space, I would say it's around four main pillars. Okay. The first one is this commoditization of flash, okay, and I like to capture it as we're kind of democratizing flash.
Sure.
Yeah. So we're basically saying, look, because of our software, we can make flash as an underlying platform consumable to all. We can drive the price point of flash so low that why wouldn't you use it?
Yeah.
Okay. And that is just not achievable with any other platform. You know, flash addresses currently 5-7% of the enterprise data center because of the price point. It's price preclusive. We are bringing the price point of flash down to a level that, frankly, you would use it for any application workload, even backup and recovery. So that's the first area, this democratization of flash.
Yep.
The second one is one of agility. So because we're a software company, we're not mandating a fixed hardware choice. We're not coming in with a black box piece of hardware.
Yep.
We're saying, look, if you're a HP customer, a Cisco customer, XXX, use that platform. Use that platform, use your enterprise x86 vendor of choice,
yep.
But use our software on top to give you a hyper-converged platform.
And I think that was good with your hyperscale message, the fact that you didn't just come out with a super micro box,
yep.
You came out with many different vendors at once.
Absolutely. So that agility to either give an end user or partner the choice of hyper-converged appliance or using our USX software, leverage whatever they've got in the infrastructure.
Sure.
And we've been extremely successful in the very large enterprise space by allowing those customers to effectively take the workloads that would have sat on NAS or SAN and put that into an x86 layer that they already have.
Yeah.
They're effectively taking an existing capital investment in servers and moving storage into that existing investment there. The third one is very straightforward, it's price point.
Yeah.
Because of our software IP, we can drive the price point of a hyper-converged appliance or a gigabyte of capacity significantly lower than any other vendor in this space. So price is something we lead with, and we're not afraid of leading with it. And finally is the performance.
Yeah.
We're using RAM as a performance tier. RAM, as you know, is the fastest form of storage. Because of the underlying flash usage, we're combining that RAM and flash technology together to get an extremely fast performance for any application.
And I think that's the thing that, when we've been speaking to customers before, they've kind of said, well, I've been reading the white papers, we can get away with 15 IOPS per desktop or something like that. But the question is, why do you want to give them 15 IOPS per desktop? If we can give them more, give them that SSD-like performance.
Absolutely. And I think that's, I've come from Citrix, I was at Citrix before here, and I think, our biggest challenge was compromising the end user experience. If there is a psychological kind of challenge to an end user if you remove their PC. If you give them a thin client. If you're doing that and giving them a poor performance at the same time, it's a very difficult battle to overcome. If you give them a thin client and the performance is, you're giving them 300, 400, 500 IOPS a desktop, that issue immediately goes away.
So I suppose one of the main messages for you here at VMworld then is, if you're doing VDI, obviously come and speak to you like they always have done, but now if you want your servers accelerated, come and talk to you as well. I
think really, if you are looking at, the broad message is, if you're looking at spending money on SAN or NAS, really look at, technologies like ours, frankly. The days of traditional convergence are coming to an end, frankly, and technologies like Atlantis enable certainly a new way of looking at deploying the applications.
So the blog's called Define Tomorrow. We've only recently launched it, and the main reason we called it Define Tomorrow is there's lots of IT managers, IT leaders out there thinking, what does the future hold for our industry?
Sure.
Where am I taking IT within my company?
Sure.
If you were to give them one nugget of information, one piece of advice that may help them in the future with that direction, what would it be?
Well, I think from I'll plagiarise something I heard from the European CTO of VMware, which was every vendor is out there talking about the software-defined X, networking, storage, data center, etc. And invariably, the advice would be question that statement.
Sure.
And question it based on how much of your hardware, Mr. Vendor, do you have to buy to execute on your software-defined vision? We are a software company. We're leading with a software message, and that really is unique in this space.
Yeah.
So, software-defined is a fantastic notion, but as I say, if you've got to buy a lot of branded tin to execute on that notion, then I'd question.
Is it software-defined?
Exactly.
Definitely. Thank you ever so much for your time.
No, it's all.
Pleasure to talk to you.
Cheers.